Good morning, everyone. Just waiting a little bit to see if some more people are tuning in. And if you have to just share out the space, maybe invite some folks, and then we're gonna get started. Today, we're gonna talk about Avalanche because we have planned the liquidity integration for Earn. And chat a little about what AVAX is about and why we are considering to move over there. Um, Otherwise, markets look pretty good. Kind of, I feel like it's still everything kind of in a waiting period. Probably everybody is like set with their bags, waiting for the halving. It's not much moved since the weekend. But Earn has been doing good, just holding strong. Hovering right at about 3.8 million, which is pretty good. Also, just gonna share out the space. And here's Wookie. See if I can approve you. It's always working for me as a co-host.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's it going?
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Doing really well. Had a good weekend. Bunch of grass.
Did you do some egg hunting?
No. You go to the store though and get some Easter egg candy just for the shit of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Freaking market's looking like it's on a standstill right now.
Yeah, it's not much happening right now.
Mm.
Also, the Gwei is at 29, which is fairly low these days.
Hit 13 last night.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? It's almost nothing. Used to be a regular, maybe almost a year ago. I got really used to the 15-10 Gwei kind of times and was like all weirded out when then it was like a regular 30. But yeah, I mean, it's still very low.
No, it hit 13 last night, I noticed.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I got an email I just noticed actually from CoinMarketCap. Said they'll be updating our listing pretty soon. So that's good news.
Oh, sweet. So they're going to add fees on it?
Yeah, so ideally, I mean, it says they will process it within the next 24 hours. And usually when I get those emails, they do it. They're kind of automated, but it's a confirmation that they got the damn message. So that's cool.
Yeah.
So then that's going to be displayed on CoinMarketCap. I think that once that's displayed on CoinMarketCap, that DEX tools may automatically pull the contract and automatically update DEX tools and DEX screener. It might. If not, I might still look into just paying for it, but ideally that's the case. They are doing a deal right now. It's 50% off for base tokens deployed on base, which is still like $700 or whatever. Still better though. Yeah. So, but yeah, it'd be nice when that's updated because then people will be able to navigate directly to our social groups once it's updated on DEX screener and DEX tools, and ideally, it's just pulled from CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko. I'm wondering who does it first, CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap. But we'll see.
Yeah. So, Michael, did you want to go over the numbers? real quick, and then we can talk about Avalanche.
Yeah, just a second here. I'm getting my other accounts, and I'm sending out a few other invites. Yeah, guys, if you guys are coming into the room, space has only been up for like 5-10 minutes. Yeah, take some time to repost, share it out there. That's basically what we're doing right now. I'm doing.
Yeah.
So more folks know that it's currently being hosted. And of course, yeah, the space is recorded later, so if you guys can't attend or going to pop in for a minute, you can listen to that later. Those that don't know, we do this Monday through Friday, roughly around the same time. It's kind of like a mini AMA. Basically, it's an opportunity for folks to come in, ask questions, and to give an update on what's going on with the project. I mean, day to day, not much is not going to change, even week to week, but still gives people the opportunity to come up and talk with us if they have any questions. If they might have been absent for a week or so, possibly. So yeah, going over the numbers. Let me pull this up. Okay. So yeah, thanks everyone for taking the time to attend to another space that we're hosting here on X. Quick little review of the numbers. This is mostly on the Ethereum side. Sitting just below $4 million market cap, 3.84 exactly, about 290,000 in ETH liquidity. Circulated supply, just around 431 million, about to break underneath that, which is really cool. Still underneath 1,000 holders, 854. Volatility score is 0.02. I still don't know exactly why that's necessary to have on DEX tools, but it's there.
Yeah, it's basically just the volume divided by liquidity.
Right, but I don't know why it's necessary.
High volume. Yeah, it doesn't really say much. I mean, you can kind of eyeball that.
Yeah, so whatever that is for, I don't really find that as personally valuable. Earn daily chart, weekly chart is what I would look at. As you guys know, Earn has been around for a hot minute. The pool was created initially for the ETH side October of last year, October 10th. So, projects that, you can say we've stood this test of time. I personally think that we're extremely young. But in the crypto space, people think that that's old, but yeah, people have their opinions on that. But yeah, for a project, we're very young. I always look at the day chart or the weekly chart just to get a good picture of where we're going. And yeah, anyone looks into daily or weekly can see our trajectory is up. And a lot of it is due to a number of factors. One, based out of tokenomics, Earn is an actual hyperinflationary token. Because we burned 50% of the supply. I think if you do 30 or 40, you get into that area. But every single transaction incurs a tax. There's a 2% tax, or call it fee, on every single transaction, and that's 100% reflection only fee. So that means that there is no contract self-function, there is no swap liquefy, there's no marketing, there's no dev wallet, there's no money going back to one particular person. It's just all reflected back out to all holders. And the Burn wallet is the largest holder and growing exponentially. Those that don't know, Earn has an immutable contract, meaning the contract is renounced, nothing can be changed. LP is still locked. We have talked with the community about doing liquidity expansion to other chains, just basically moving some over to different chains to allow larger buys or sells to happen on BNB, Base Chain, possibly Solana, and AVAX. Those that didn't see the announcement, we will be on AVAX in the next few days. So look forward to that liquidity integration. I've actually been hopping in a few AVAX spaces, talking with some community members of that chain that are excited for that. So yes, in the next few days, you will be able to buy Earn using AVAX on the AVAX blockchain. Super cool. We also we'll be launching our next Flamelink Dividends Reward token coming up in the next few days. That is Flamelink 0x67. If you haven't yet already, join the Telegram group. Announcements in regards to like contract, the chart, all the information will be inside of that chat. If you guys are familiar with the process, you know how it's going to go. So definitely join there if you haven't done so already to participate in that dividends reward token launch. It is going to be on BNB. This may be the last one for a little bit that we do on BNB. Meaning the next ones may be on Base or AVAX down the line. So if you want to participate in the launch, like I said, definitely join the TG and pay attention to launch details. There's a countdown timer inside the chat too, you can see. So take note of that. Back to earn, like I said, weekly chart, daily chart look very good. I could see us by the end of the month, if not the starting of June, given of course how the markets are, well above our all-time high, maybe sitting somewhere around 5 to 10 cents. That's kind of my personal price prediction on that, looking at how things are going. Like I say, always, everyone, just make sure to DCA. Markets are volatile. I mean, this is even true to the top cryptocurrency out there, Bitcoin. Just DCA. Don't try to time the markets. If you DCA in, you tend to do well. If you're thinking earn's going to go back to 3.5 and you're only going to buy then, you might be wrong. If you're thinking you're trying to you top, you could be probably going to be wrong. Just DCA based off of time, maybe less focused on price. Think of things long-term outlook. Like personally, if you believe, for example, going back to Bitcoin, if it is actually going to be $1 million per coin, why are you basically trying to decide if you want to buy in at 50K, 80K, 70K? Just DCA in what's comfortable to you and enjoy the ride on the way there. Don't try to game the system, in my opinion. So yeah, Earn, as I had mentioned earlier, is on multiple blockchains. It is on BNB, Solana, Base Chain, and soon to be on AVAX. We're going to dive into AVAX a little bit later and why we picked AVAX to be the next liquidity chain integration. But if you guys are looking to purchase Earn on different chains, you can do that right now if you prefer BNB, Solana, or Base. In the next few days, maybe sooner, we will have our contract address for Base listed on CoinMarketCap and hopefully CoinGecko. So if you hold tokens in your wallet, like Earn Base tokens, you should see the price information show up in your wallet, the same as you do with BNB, Solana, and Earn on ETH. So I see you get some more folks in the room. I'll let you guys know again if you could take the time to repost, like, and maybe leave a comment. And then yeah, let's dive into AVAX. Nadina, why don't you talk about what you think about AVAX and the overall blockchain?
Yeah, so I think AVAX is an interesting chain. I kind of always liked it because I just always felt when I was like researching something, how to deploy a contract or like a token or whatever. It just seemed like the documentation seems like extremely thorough and well organized. And usually that means that a lot has been done by people that truly care about the project, that the project knows where it's heading. It has people that write documentation for the developers. And I've talked about that before. I just think even though it sounds like something like very small, it is extremely important to provide good documentation for developers, because if you don't have that, developers don't want to really deploy, or it's just cumbersome, or it takes a lot of time. And what you need for a chain for people to adopt it, you need dApps on it. So you can't do that without dApps. Otherwise, it's just a speculative chain. Or it's something like, I mean, that's what bothers me a little bit about Solana, right? Like, yeah, they have these token programs, but you're extremely limited. Like, it's hard to develop in it. The documentation is not up to date. So, and then you have a security issue, right? Because not a lot of things are tested out. Solana has another problem in itself because it's actually not easy to verify a contract, so you don't really know what is happening in the background. But it's much more difficult to create something new and unique. And I think you see that a little bit with Solana, even though you have a lot of hype around it. I think it's lacking quite a bit of like user experience when it goes beyond just launching a token. But AVAX has always kind of impressed me how it's well organized. It's also very solid. Like there's a lot of background information to like papers about how they arrive to the infrastructure they have currently. And it's also different from just being a copy of Ethereum. So it is EVM compatible. So you can easily just take a contract that is on Ethereum and deploy it in AVAX. But the underlying infrastructure is actually a little bit different. And what's interesting about it is that it's essentially a collection of networks, and anybody can create a so-called subnet within the AVAX ecosystem and can create that net with their own parameters. That can be a public chain, or it can just contribute to the whole system. And it can be, or it can be a private chain, which is extremely interesting for businesses, because then you have a network that you can have private for your own business or company. You can determine who is being allowed on that network, but they can seamlessly interact with the public network, which doesn't require like any bridging or anything like that. And so if you want to create a very unique user experience for your specific use case, you can do that. And it's just very easy to then connect to the public infrastructure that is already there. They do a little bit of different consensus algorithm than Ethereum. So Ethereum mainly has like the validator pool is just basically it's just how do you say that? So Avalanche has a unique way of validating transactions, and it's such that you have, I think at this point they have like 80,000 or something, something in the tens of thousands, something. Validators, don't recall the exact number. But what they're basically doing is they always randomly select a small group of validators to validate the transaction. And that number is the same all the time. So, which means that you can do a very predictable time in how you're validating and finalize transaction. And AVAX is extremely fast. I actually like using it to move funds from my MetaMask to centralized exchanges, because it's so much faster than Ethereum, and it's also so much cheaper. And so yeah, so actually I've learned that there has also been quite a little bit of drama around AVAX, but what they have been doing is just very innovative. They come up with new things like all the time. They have some huge collaborators. So I've learned that they actually collaborate with AWS or Amazon for their own blockchain within the Amazon ecosystem, if you say so. And they have some huge collaborators with gaming companies as well. So I think they specifically target gaming industry as well, because I believe the subnets are just ideal to do that. And I'm really interested in where that ecosystem is headed, because it's a little bit different. Like that's what I'm always say. Like just a copy of Ethereum. What does that too? All you do if you reduce the transaction fees, you just basically allow more spam on the chain, and you don't solve any other problems. So why not just use Ethereum? It's the most decentralized that you can have next to Bitcoin. But if they have a unique way of using the technology to provide a different aspect that people can use for specific use cases, I think it makes a lot of sense. And how they have it set up with these subnets, so I think they don't put a number anymore on it, how much throughput they have, but there has been a number floating around that's like 4,500 transactions per second for each subnet. And I think it might be even a little bit more than that. And you can create as many subnets as you want. So it can be easily scaled without a layer 2, which is very interesting. And these subnets, they can be interconnected. You don't even notice. I think currently it's like 30 subnets. But as a user, you don't really notice that these are subnets. You're just using this so-called seed chain that is set up for smart contracts. And they even have a protocol that's specialized for smart contract to make it more efficient. So I think it's a very interesting chain, and it also has been, like a lot. You hear a lot of rumors around it, like it's the next meme coin, like Arbitrum meme coin chain, and it's just getting more and more popular. And they even have, I noticed, they have even a program now to support meme coins in their ecosystem. There are some requirements that you have to meet, and I'm not sure if we qualify. I have to look into it more. I think usually they require more, like you're launching the coin on the chain, but maybe they do some. I don't know if you're just bridging. I'm not sure if it qualify, but it would be something interesting to look into, because they really allocated like 10 million or something, or even more, for that particular program to get meme coins, or I think they call them community coins, which I like much more, that term, because I don't think Earn actually qualifies as a meme coin. I think it's a community coin or utility coin sounds much better and or more fitting. And so so they're trying, they're doing good marketing in terms of supporting developers, supporting communities, supporting projects. So I think it's an interesting time, and I think we can really tap into a new like a new community member pool that we might have not had before. So I'm looking forward to bridge over to AVAX. I personally like really using it because it's so fast. And I like AVAX in general, just that's my personal thing. But that's kind of it, what I know about AVAX. And what do you think, Michael?
So, yeah, what I know about AVAX, I look at operational and where it's all at. Currently, you can basically switch your network to AVAX on Trader Joe and also Uniswap. Uniswap was a more recent integration for AVAX. For a little bit, you can only do V3 pools on Uniswap, and now you can do V2 pools on Uniswap. So anyone who doesn't know, you can do concentrated single-sided liquidity on V3. You can't do that on V2. But you can do that currently right now on Uniswap, and then you have the liquidity pool option on Trader Joe. Now, Trader Joe liquidity is a little bit different. I'm still wrapping my head around it. I think I need to chat more with the folks in the AVAX community, because they have these different liquidity shapes here that you can do, and they're called spot, curve, and bid ask. So it's a little bit different than V2 and V3. So super cool though that you have different options on Trader Joe. It's the most popular DEX to utilize for adding liquidity. in the AVAX blockchain. I think Uniswap is becoming a little more popular where liquidity is landing, but in general, people use Trader Joe. I haven't decided yet where we're going to plant our LP. It may be on Uniswap, just because looking at DEX tools, I see more and more tokens adding a liquidity there a little bit more than Trader Joe. I guess maybe they don't know about Trader Joe, or maybe they aren't familiar with how to add liquidity there, because it is a little bit different than doing V2 or V3. But yeah, we'll let you guys know for that soon where the liquidity is going to be landed on. Hell, it might even be on both. We'll decide. But overall, I do like the token. I've watched a decent amount of reviews on it. You know, Paul Barrow does his crypto shows, and yeah, they're tapping a lot into gaming. I think they're pulling some market share away from Polygon, in my opinion, in regards to the gaming sector for crypto. I still think Polygon, you know, will have its spot and its place in crypto, but I do think that a lot of users are going over to AVAX. And you know, something also cool to note about AVAX, it is supported in OpenSea. You launch an NFT collection, you can actually buy and sell your NFT utilizing AVAX on OpenSea still today. It's currently not on Rarible, but I'm hearing that it may be in the near future. So that'd be cool to see how that expands out. But yeah, AVAX seems like a cool chain. Decent sized community. We've heard about it a little bit in guess you could say crypto Twitter. But it's, I think, one of the top ones that are up there. There's a lot of different blockchains options, but AVAX is one of the top ones that's been around for a while. And like I said before, you know, projects, blockchains, kind of, last a long time. You know, the test of time thing are usually on our radars to expand out to grow the earn ecosystem. So I think it's cool.
Yeah, and I think Trader Joe recently also integrated Ethereum as well, so that will give more eyes on that exchange, I think. So that's what I read.
They did. They have Ethereum, Arbitrum, and D&D. It used to just be Avalanche, so they have additional chains too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have to figure out how these bins work and do a deep dive on it. Maybe that'd be something you want to do for a review video. Go into liquidity, because when you Google this stuff, there's not much about it. I mean, there's nobody's making YouTube videos about it.
Yeah.
How it all works.
Yeah.
But that'd be cool to do some reviews and how exactly each bin works. I mean, they have a guide and everything, their introduction to liquidity shapes and stuff like that. But to do a deep dive into it to explain it would be cool.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the launch. So we've planned it for Wednesday the 3rd. And we didn't say a time, but probably like the usual time around the day for us, Central Time. We'll do that, see how that goes. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think each chain will bring different types of people into the community and different types of opportunities too for us to possibly develop something on it. And as Michael mentioned, we're planning on launching the Flamelink tokens, not just on DMB, so we can kind of spread them out into the different ecosystems. And yeah, it will be interesting to see. You know, we know DMB works really well, but maybe, who knows? You know, maybe base people or AVAX people are way more hyped about it. Who knows? So it's going to be interesting to see, interesting experiment to launch one on these other chains. And yeah, it probably won't always be us to determine where we're going to launch these Flamelinks. So hopefully in the future we will have like kind of a dialogue with the community involved to where we're going to launch the Flamelink tokens, or maybe even the project leaders can decide which one they want to use.
So I was looking into the AVAX, the liquidity shapes. And mind you, on V2 and V3, there's really just two options essentially. I mean, you have your concentrated and single-sided liquidity options on V3, but then there isn't an option really on V2. It's just 50-50. There are on AVAX. Look at the millionaires chat. How many different options there are on Trader Joe? I just pulled up their liquidity shapes chart. Like, damn. I think that's 12.
So you talked. Yeah, it's 12.
12 different options for setting up liquidity.
That's from Trader Joe?
Yeah, that's why it's complicated. I was trying to understand how this thing works, and I'm like, why are there so many options? And each one is unique, so you got to know how each one works. But on V2 and V3, it's just more straightforward. So you don't have many options, but look how many options there are. I really would love to do an AVAX space, and go over liquidity shapes and understand how each shape works. It's I don't know if there's anyone in the community that understands this, but I look at this and I'm intrigued by how each shape works.
Where did you find that graph? I would like to share it out.
Yeah, so I just went into.
It's in the documentation.
It's in the documentation. I'll post the link directly in the chat. There.
Yeah.
It's an integration and an introduction to liquidity shapes. Their help center, but that's going to take a minute to wrap my head around how that all works.
Yeah, so I wonder what the benefits are for each of those, right?
I know, right? Like I don't even know. I think third line down, third over is the standard, like the V2 pool. But then what the hell is third line down, first one? And then fourth line down, fourth one. I don't even know.
Oh, I think I know how. So I think the two different colors are essentially. Let's paste it also into the main chat maybe, so people.
Oh yeah, I mean, it'd be great if we can get I'd love somebody from the AVAX community can come in and talk to us about this and explain how these all work.
Yeah. So I think the two different colors mean the two different tokens. So I put it in the main chat, but also I put it up on YouTube as well. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. So I think the two different colors are the two different tokens, right? And then on basically on the horizontal axis, you have the price. And so what you can do is and then you have the columns that you see, I think, are ticks. So basically when you have, let's pick the first column, second row, the first column, second row, sorry. So then you have to take the same amount of each token, let's say AVAX, 100, basically AVAX and earn, and it's the same amount in US dollars. You place them, so you want to have your earn, for example. So what would be the benefit of it? So you basically, in the lower price range, you would only supply the earn, and in the upper price range, you would only supply the AVAX. And you would spread them equally over the different ticks, which is always a small portion of the price, right? So you would basically, probably the smarter would be to have the AVAX at your lower range, which means that when the price drops, people, you get the earn at a lower price. you get earned back. So if you supply AVAX in the lower range, then when the price drops and people are selling, you get earned at a very low price. And then you have the earn supplied in a higher range. So when people buy it up, you're selling essentially your earn, and you're getting AVAX for it. So that's interesting. Uniswap or PancakeSwap don't have that. So you can basically, doing it like that allows you to get earned cheaply and sell it expensive at an expensive price. So that's interesting.
It is.
And then the other shapes basically allow you to concentrate your tokens at a specific range. So the one in the very middle basically allows you to have the most amount of your tokens in a smaller range in the middle, and then the farther away the price goes from that initial, the less you're supplying. That's probably mostly for cases where you know that the price is fairly stable in a specific range. For example, that's perfect for a stable coin, right? For a stable coin, you have basically the token is mainly traded at one price, but it's fluctuating a tiny little bit always around $1, right? Like if you take USDC, for example, the price is not always exactly $1. It's fluctuating maybe 0.998 to, or even sometimes it's even a little bit more than that, but it's fluctuating around it. So what you want to do, you don't want to have your liquidity spread out from like $0 to $1 million in price, right? Because they're never going to reach it. So your tokens are just going to sit there and doing nothing. So what you want to do is you're concentrating the majority of your tokens around the range the token is traded at. And then who knows, maybe TPEX, right? And you can still take advantage of that if you have a few tokens allocated in these wider ranges. That makes a lot of sense for, or maybe you were supplying, for example, so Bitcoin also doesn't fluctuate extremely, right, compared to other low cap coins. So they also there for a more limited time period, not forever, but let's say for the next week or so, likely Bitcoin, will probably range around 70,000. So if you have wrapped Bitcoin and USDC, for example, you want most of your liquidity range around that price. But, you never know what happens. So who knows, maybe bull run takes off next few days. So you want to have a few tokens of BTC, wrapped BTC in the, $90,000, $100,000, $200,000 range, because then those tokens are being eaten up if you have a price spike, and you can basically sell them at a very high price. And the same can happen. It can crash, right? And so what you can do is basically, then if you have USDC allocated in a lower range, you can buy Bitcoin. You can catch a bottom that way, right? If you have allocated your USDC in the lower range and it's eaten up, and you get Bitcoin for it. So that is a very cool feature to have, like this split, that you're taking one token of the pair and they're allocated to the lower range, and you take the other token and allocate it to the higher range. So then you can basically catch bottoms and tops, right? If you configure it right. So this is extremely interesting. And then you have also what it shows here. You have also the case where you have it split. You don't have a continuous pool. You have one token at a very low range, nothing in the middle, and then the other token at the high range. So that is actually literally catching bottoms and tops, because if it goes into the very low end, you're buying up all the tokens, and when it goes into the top range, the higher range, it sells them all at the high price. So that is very cool to have that. And then you have all these different shapes that you can you're gonna sell or buy more tokens when it's extreme. The price is extreme, right? So you have that one that basically has very little in the middle, and then it's gradually increasing to the extremes. So that means that the lower the price gets, the more tokens you're gonna get, and the higher the price gets, the more tokens you're gonna sell, which is a very good strategy to do. And it actually does it for you, right? You don't have to manually make the decision. It's just gonna do it for you. And obviously you need to set it right so it's gonna work. But I think it's very interesting, this concept.
Yeah, there's the options, and I wonder. I was partially looking into V4. I wonder how much of this is built in V4. Yeah, because I wonder if Trader Joe's already doing it.
Yeah.
But this has already been the case in Trader Joe, and now they're just catching up because some of these strategies look familiar in V4 now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. No, that's very cool. And also like the shapes that they have, where you have in the middle range, you got equal amounts of each token. So that means if you know a little bit where the token is traded at, you can earn the fees, right? Because you're probably not going to benefit of like if it's fluctuating, you can't really benefit of providing single-sided liquidity. So you do two-sided, so you can earn the fees. But as soon as it goes a little bit at the higher price, you start providing the single-sided, which allows you to sell your tokens. If it goes lower, you're providing a single-sided in the other token, in native token, and you're getting the tokens back cheaply. So yeah, this is very cool. I didn't know that they have that. I've never looked at it closely. But that is very interesting and a good thing to learn, because this way you're gonna really maximize your profits.
I remember trying to do it before and got confused because I was like, I need some time to figure this all out. But you know me, I'm a visual person, so I want to go through it a couple of times and see exactly how it all works.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's going to take.
Yeah, you probably have to play around a bit. You have to play around a little to see. Sometimes this is a nice visualization. It makes total sense. But then when you get into UI, it might not be so obvious, or how to set the price, right? And, you have to adapt the strategy based on the token you're dealing with, because otherwise you won't really benefit from it.
Why don't we create some, I want to play with this. Why don't you create me some test tokens? So that I don't want to do this with like initializing liquidity with Earn, because that's a pain in the ass if you do it wrong.
Yeah.
But create me some test AVAX tokens. And I want to play around with this and see how it all works. And then if I break one of them, it doesn't matter, because they're designed that way.
Yeah.
They're designed to be like guinea pigs. So I need give me like 10 of them. That should be enough to figure out what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah. And because initializing liquidity can be tricky, and it's hard to fix it if you don't get it right.
There is no fix. There is, but it's expensive, as you've learned.
It depends on how wrong it is.
Yeah, how wrong it is, how much money you're going to spend. You want to create a $10,000 problem, initialize liquidity wrong, or rewrite or
you need a lot of money to correct it.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
It's like you just created a several $1,000 problem for yourself by pressing one button. But yeah, fun times, blockchain. But I would like to do that. Give me some contracts, and I want to test that all out the cheap way. Because then if I make a mistake, I can just wash it and do it again, do another one.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, something to note, everyone, as you're initializing liquidity pools, be careful about your price you set in initialization, because I mean, if you can create a new contract, it's fine. But if you can't, for whatever reason, you create yourself a decent problem. So just basically saying, just know what you're doing. If you're launching a token and creating a liquidity pool, be careful. But yeah, I guess you can technically just create a new contract if you aren't really set on it, you know. Or sometimes
if it's
sometimes these platforms, they create your liquidity for you. They launch and add your liquidity yourself. They don't let you do it manually.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you mess it up, it's unfortunate. Because you. I mean, on Uniswap and Pancake, at least you have the different tiers. You know, I mean, if you do it at the very beginning wrong, there's nothing like on V2, for example. It's nothing you can do. At least on V3, you have the different tier options, so you could technically reinitialize, but they're somewhat connected. So fixing one is then possibly affecting the other one too. So
right,
yeah, it's not that trivial.
It's just expensive. Yeah. That's all it is. It's cost money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and basic.
Oh, if you can afford it, you know, if you need $1 billion worth of ETH to correct your pool, probably it's not possible.
Yeah, it's always fun, you know, when you do that. You're like, where the hell did my money just go? It just disappeared.
Yeah.
And I know what's happening. It's because it's the bots that are arbitraging. They're eating it essentially. It's kind of weird to look at it that way, but they're eating the money out of it. So it's being eaten out of thin air. And you're like, oh, okay. And then you can calculate just how much money this is going to cost. And based on how wrong you are, you're like, well, this is not feasible. I'm going to wash this entirely. But yeah, it's interesting going through it. But yeah, liquidity could be annoying.
So I just came across an article that talks about that diamonds are being tokenized on Avalanche. Apparently, that's the first time.
So they set up a reserve of diamonds, and they're saying that they're That's really cool. I mean, I know they have like PAX Gold, where gold is tokenized.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, right? When you
Oasis Pro's Diamond Fund token.
So with PAX Gold, the only thing when you tokenize something that doesn't have a fixed supply, that can be more of it, you have to have a mintable contract, right? Because you need to have the ability to burn and increase if more of that asset just happens to pop onto the market, like I don't know, a meteor, or someone mines a lot of it, right? Especially since it's not, there's no set total supply. I mean, that's the whole thing, right, about tying your token to a real world asset. Is that, well, if you do that, your token has to now if that asset is not fixed, then your supply can't be either, right? It can't be. It has to be able to change.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, especially if you have your token representing also for gold, like the token can't represent the total gold out there,
because you don't know how much gold is out there.
Because also you can't, you don't know that, but also you can't redeem all the gold, because you can only have a backed token if you can each token redeem for that asset, or for that commodity. So if I have a gold token, I should be able to go, at least technically, should be able to go to that vault where it is and give the token and get exactly the amount of gold that the gold price currently is. I should be able to redeem the gold. So since no one owns all the gold, you can't create a token that has a total supply. Like, you have to mint as many tokens that you have currently in the reserve. You could technically do that. You could say, okay, I'm never going to purchase more than 5 tons of gold, and I'm going to make the token exactly that amount. And then you're holding back the tokens. No, that doesn't work either, I think.
No, it doesn't. I was listening to it. Yeah, it's kind of a
no, it
tricky
doesn't
thing.
work either, because then you would just give people gold. No, no, you have to make it that you basically you give gold and then you get tokens back. All right,
Yeah,
it's something like that.
Yeah, the whole.
No. I'm thinking about it the wrong way. So basically, still, if you had, let's say, I have 5 tons of gold, and I split that up into, I don't know, 1,000 tokens, then still I can sell the tokens for money for exactly what the gold is worth, right?
Right, but that's the thing. Like the supply can't ever change on either side.
Right, but I would have to keep exactly the same amount of gold in my vault. Like it wouldn't change.
Yeah.
But then I can basically say that each token I have is backed by this much gold, and that's why you have to pay me this much in US dollars.
This is really no
to get a
different than
token.
how we're doing our interoperable chain integrations. Because that's what they're doing. Yeah, they're going to a vault. Like
Yeah.
it's the exact same thing. Just you don't see it. They basically, for base, and people maybe people do or don't know this or how this all works, but if you guys look at the blockchain on Earn, the ETH Explorer, you'll see a wallet called D-Gate, D-Bridge Gate, I think that's what it's called, yeah. And so tokens go in, that's basically a contract vault. Tokens go in, tokens go out, but there's a one-to-one, which is easier to do because, Earn is, tokens are being burned, is actually going down, so it's hyperdeflationary. But the total supply is never going to change. You have circulating supply and total supply. Total supply is never going to change. Circulating supply, that's a different story entirely. But tokens go into that vault and tokens go out of that vault, one-to-one, essentially. And so it's kind of like that in regards to you had an asset tied to it, because everything that's tied to that vault is redeemable one-to-one to come back, essentially, to the ETH blockchain, or you can sell it on that chain, but you always have the option of like coming back, coming back to Ethereum. And that's why I've said this a couple of times, that the Ethereum side is the primary side, because that's where it can always come back to. It's really like listing on an exchange. You can always come back to the main chain where it originated from. So, but yeah, vaults are cool. You lock and the way you do, you lock the token. But on, what's interesting is that, yes, when tokens go into the vault and then they go over to the other chain, the value of that cryptocurrency, even though because it's on BNB, it's on Base, AVAX, Solana, the value of it could fluctuate dramatically. But since it's redeemable one-to-one, it only makes sense for someone to buy it on the other chain, or if they have it, to go over and then aggregate, arbitrage the value down, so that the prices are relatively the same across chains, making the tokens equalize in value. I'm thinking about all this because sometimes I think about, like, how do you tie it to an asset, a real world asset, and it comes down to supply. Unless you have a damn vault, you have to have a vault where the tokens go in, and then it goes in and it comes out, and then it's always redeemable one-to-one if you want to come back. And you need a vault. I think digital vaults are a lot easier, of course, to set up. Physical vaults are much more complicated because you're dealing with like real world assets. But
but if you want to peg it, you need something like that. Unless you peg it to a stock or something that's already just a representation of the real asset, right? But otherwise, you do need you need to have the asset itself. Otherwise, it's not being backed by it.
Yeah, and vaults require security. I mean, talking about a real vault.
Well, you can make it secure. You can make also mintable contracts.
No, I'm talking about a real world vault. I'm talking about like a real vault of.
Real world. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Then you depend on probably a bank, and then like, what's the point of that? Like, I mean, that would be an interesting concept to have a decentralized gold-backed token, like people that can somehow verify how much they have at home, and then they can sell the tokens for it. That would be interesting. But how would you make sure that you can get the gold anytime, right?
Yeah, I mean that's a security piece to it. I mean, that's essentially what they are. But yeah, talking about security and vaults, Open Leverage several hours ago, suffered an exploit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Some people that don't know, back in 2021, there were a number of supply borrow protocols that were compromised, like Curve and Aave, and now Open Leverage, and there's another one that I was on. I can't think of the name right now, but basically, when you're on these protocols, they have a number of ways that they work. One thing is like you have to mint, when you're on a leverage problem, you have to be able to mint tokens, and that's always a dangerous thing in that environment, in my opinion. And I've seen some kick-ass audits done on these protocols. I'm talking like Certic, Pack Shield.
Well, Certic is considered as a scam.
You think so? I wonder.
Actually, when you, I followed. I'm following quite a few, like basically anon auditors there are quite a few. They do like gas optimization for contracts, and they do audits, and they're basically saying like an audit from Certic, it just costs you a lot of money and does nothing. Like what they're actually they don't really look into the audit really. Like they're doing it very quickly. They maybe just have a glance at it and they do their standard reports. But to really do an audit, it takes a lot of time. You basically retest the contract and such. And so, I mean, there are other much smaller audit firms that probably do a much better job than paying Certic. Yeah.
Or
but
just keep your contract as simple as possible. I mean, that was why too. We looked into
that too. But you always should get an audit, and for especially for contracts that do a little bit more than just the token, especially if they're holding substantial amounts of money, they need more than just one audit. They need like 3 to 5 audits.
What do you think about contracts that are swap liquefied that haven't had extensive audits done on them?
Well, yeah, every time you interact, so ERC20 tokens on their own are actually not that easy to hack. Unless, they can have bugs and then they can be hacked. That's obviously, but what's very vulnerable is when you mess with the base token, right? So the native token, because there are some tricks within Solidity that make it vulnerable to attacks when you have a contract that can accept Ethereum. Because a standard ERC20 token can't receive Ethereum as you can force send Ethereum, but a regular contract usually can't accept Ethereum ERC20 contract. So it has to be configured as such, and Yeah, so when you have a fee that is collected or swapped for Ethereum, then you make your contract able to receive Ethereum, and then there are some things you can do with that contract. So you should get an audit when a contract. I mean, you should in general. An audit is better than none, obviously. But yeah, if you're messing with Ethereum, it's even more warranted to have an audit, because yeah, there are just additional risk factors that you have compared to a token that does not accept Ethereum or BNB for that matter. Like, it doesn't matter what the native token is. Um, on EVM chains, that's an issue. So yeah, but yeah, a protocol that has users' funds and locks them up in some way in a contract, it's usually recommended to get at least 3 audits, because even one audit can miss something. And it's interesting how, I mean, I'm sometimes really impressed, even though I hate that these people use their skills for malicious things and just take money from people. But I'm usually pretty impressed how they find these ways of getting that money. Like, it's pretty impressive.
Well, they what they say, they check all the boxes and they reverse engineer. Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. Like, you look at how something's built, right? And you try to take it apart, and I think a lot of people just don't understand what they're getting into. Really understand what they're getting into.
Yeah, but it's also, yeah. I mean, sometimes interest, like, you know, it requires a lot of time to search contracts and then try to hack them, right? Like, it's not that you can just, like, you can Google, like, which contract should I hack? You know, you have to go to specific projects, you have to read about them to know, you know, what they're doing, and is that concept maybe vulnerable to something, and then you have to find their contracts. You have to, like, really dig first into the project itself, then really dig into their contracts, and then you possibly get some money.
Hey, the
right?
person from Over Leverage made $250,000, you know, over $250,000.
Yeah, I mean, of course, but like, how long does this person has the person searched for a contract to hack, and then likely they have to try to hack multiple ones until they actually have one they can hack, right? So a lot of time goes into just searching for a bug or vulnerability, and I'm just kind of amazed. Like, it's not something they do within a day, you know. They must be searching for a long time to find the project, find the vulnerability, find the contracts, find the vulnerability. And yeah, so, like, why don't you use all the time for something, you know, you can do good? I mean, it's a lot of possible waste of time, because there's no guarantee you find the vulnerability, you know.
Some people just have fun doing it.
So,
you know,
that's what I mean.
It's like,
yeah, likely they do. Likely they do.
I mean, you know, going back to
They do, yeah. I'm sure they look at it like a game, but it's like the financial gain is not guaranteed at all.
I mean, I don't know if you dove into it, but the exploit that happened with Elephant Money back in over almost 2 years ago, you know, how that took place. I mean, I think what happens here is that once you find a vulnerability, then all you gotta do is find similar contracts and not be doing the same thing. So maybe it wasn't them spending, like you said, weeks trying to figure out how to do this. Maybe they found it with one project, and then they just started looking for projects that were similar. to do the same thing.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah.
Because that's, or they're just monitoring them and waiting until they get to X amount of money. I mean, looking at this, how this happened, I assume that they were just monitoring this until a certain point to make the decision to do it. And that's like how much money builds up. It's like, how to rob a bank, but why do it if there's not a lot of money in the bank? You wait until the bank fills up, right? It's
yeah.
And so you just wait and wait. And I think that's what's happening. People have learned how to do certain things to exploit certain protocols, but they wait until X amount of money's there before they pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Bugs.
But
that's why it's good to keep it simple. Buy, hold, earn.
Yeah.
It's oversimplified. So, I mean, that was something I saw in the staking contract, that they had that exploit issue with the swap liquefy that was happening, but they didn't notice it until they started getting millions in volume because it was only taking a little bit away, but when you got a lot more volume, a little bit turned into a lot.
Yeah, but there I think they just took a percentage.
Percentage.
It wasn't that they robbed them.
Yeah, they found that they could take a little bit, but based off of volume. And then when they realized it was happening, they're like, oh, actually, this is a lot of money because the volume is so high. But
yeah. So I think we're gonna about an hour now. So if nobody else wants to chime in, ask a question, probably gonna close it out, and we'll be available in Telegram, possibly VC or another unrecorded space during the day. We will be back at noon for our AMA with High as a Giraffe's Ass. And we'll look into their project. They have a partnership with us, and they also will airdrop tokens to our flame holders, which is super cool. So tune in for that one and learn about it's a fun project, a really cool person behind it. And he is also the one that will launch 0x67 on Friday. So that's a chance for you to kind of get to know him a little bit and the person behind the 0x67 token. You have anything to add, Michael?
Nope, that sounds good. I appreciate everyone tuning in, and catch you guys later.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.